come to the part 2 of our truth series. We've had to wait for people to get here to get started, so I'll try to make up that time so that we can finish on time. Okay, so please ask questions. I'm very happy to take questions from last week. For those of you who are here last week, whether you are here in person or online, I'm happy to take questions. I think questioning, asking and answering questions are a big, important part of learning. So please ask questions. I don't mind being interrupted. You can interrupt me online, just raise your hand, speak to the moderator, and you cannot interrupt me in person. I'm also happy to get questions from people offline, meaning between the sessions, after the sessions, during the week. Whoever invited you will be able to pass along your questions. So please feel free. Okay, so I want to start by recapping last week. Last week we covered a couple of ideas. The first idea we covered last week was that nothing is as it seems. The world you think you know is not as the world really is. Life that you think you know is not as life really is. Everything that you imagine the world to be is a creation of your own eye. So we saw that the eye is the architect of your perception and that you are bound to your perception. If you do not understand that you are bound to your perception, then you run the risk of falling into traps, of falling into error, or falling into deception. Because of the nature of perception, man is a creature most prone to deception. This is the beginning of humility. When we know that man, as a creature, is most prone to deception because we are bound to our perception, and our perception is 100% a creation of our own eye. Nothing is as it seems. And the whole venture in life is moving from a wrong perception to a true perception. This illusion is most profound in the modern world because we are seemingly advanced, and it's most profound amongst the elite in society because we are seemingly educated. Modern education cements the illusion that we know. Again, I'd like to make clear, you are not disadvantaged because you're educated, so take heart. But you need to understand that what education does, a lot of what it does, is it cements you. It cements you. But you don't realize that everything you know, watch this now, everything you know, you are told. You do not know anything that you are not told. In fact, the reason you know it is that you are told it. You don't know it other than that you are told it. Now this is short. What you say you know, you were told. That is from the most esoteric scientific facts to the more mundane things. So, for example, what is the first planet? Like Mercury. Like when you went there last week, you saw how Mercury was, and you know it. We know the first planet is Mercury. Of course we know. I mean, and if someone comes along and says the first planet is Obalende, I laugh. You laugh. Because it's like, it's mercury. It's not Obalende. But think about it. What do you know about mercury? You don't know anything about mercury. You are told. But you have been so told that now you know. Now you don't say, I was told the first planet is Mercury. You say, the first planet is Mercury. And when the guy says, no, it's Obalende, you will fight. You will fight him on a matter that you only know because you are told. Now that may seem far because it's space, but I'm telling you, it's the same thing about everything. In some cases, it's not your teacher in school that told you. It's not the society around that told you. It's your eye that's telling you. Your eye is telling you, so you know. That's the way it works. This, understanding this, getting a handle on this, is really a breakthrough point because it begins to free you from the risk and from the problems of illusion, also called deception. The greatest deceivers do not try to counteract what you already know. They try to give you knowledge. Do you see my point? They don't try to counteract what you know from the outside. You don't take what you know in your hand and they try to bring something else and then you argue. No. The greatest deceiver will go to your eye and deal with your eye. And when he's dealt with your eye, he doesn't need to tell you anything. Your eye will tell you everything. Do you see that? As human beings, people do it. I mean, even on a very basic level, people do it. If someone comes and poisons your eye about somebody else, you won't be able to see them same way anymore. They don't need to tell you anything anymore. Just poison your eye and go away. Your eye will tell you the rest. Do you see? Your eye will do the rest. Yeah. I mean, that's a basic example, but I'm talking on really on a deeper level. Your eye is your instructor. Your eye is your commander. In fact, your eye is your treasure. It is the treasure that God gave you as a person. And what you do with it determines everything else. So we talked about how the most common repeated phrase in the life of Jesus as it is recorded in scripture is, he who has ears, let him hear. And it's so repeated, but yet so ignored. But it's so repeated because it seems to be, it's like a theme. It's like what connects everything. Okay. So we talked about how nothing is as it seems. Your eye is your instructor. Watch out. We're going to talk a bit more about that today so you can see what I mean. That's idea one. Idea two, you do you. You do you. A person does themselves. A God works. And what he works is from him and looks like him. Because everything you do is from you and looks like you. You do you. All of man's creations, man created in the way he is. Man does things according to himself. You can't do things outside yourself because that's who you are. So we talked about the fact that you are a living idea, right? You are a living idea, and by living idea, an idea is a composite of ideas working together is an idea. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Like a composite of atoms working together is a molecule. Yes. So you are a living idea in flesh and blood. So you are a bloody idea. The bloodiness of the idea is to give it substance in the physical. For example, I say love. Love is an idea, right?
Yeah.
It's an idea. But you can experience it.
Yeah.
Right? Even though you can't touch love, you can experience it and you can say, I love love. Some people say they love what?
Love.
The idea is brought to tangibility by flesh and blood. The person, the human person, is the means of bringing ideas into their experiential form so that they can be experienced in full. That's what the human being does. The human being is a living idea, walking around in flesh and blood, able to bring that idea out. So everything you see in the world is a manifestation of ideas. Does that make sense? The world, because humans are interacting and co-creating in this world, designing this world, adjusting, amending. What is happening in the world is the expression of the ideas in people. Those ideas are given expression in the world, and that's what we call the world. Okay? So the world is not first what you go to Manhattan, you like it, you go to wherever you like in the world, you look at it like this is my dream city, I want to be here, all that. The world doesn't start from there. It doesn't start from steel, from glass, from the receptionist smiling, greeting you with a smile. It doesn't start with people being nice on the bus. It doesn't start with that. It starts with the idea. That idea is transmitted through words and actions into the world. That is what you experience. And because you are a creature of ideas, you are able to translate that and say, I like that place. But what you are saying is, I like the idea. Do you see? Man is a creature of ideas. Man is a buyer of ideas. Man buys ideas. He doesn't have his own ideas. That is what makes man unique. Spirits are living ideas too. They don't buy. They sell. I'm going to repeat that. The spirit is a living idea. It does not buy, meaning it doesn't change. If that idea is it, that's it. Flesh and blood is embodied idea. It buys ideas into its container to transmit. It is pliable, adjustable, amendable. It is a buyer. It is a purchaser. Do you see? Spirits are sellers. They are selling ideas in the marketplace of the world. When you interact with ideas, you're interacting with spirits. The idea is the face. I'm just recapping last week. Again, for those who weren't here, it might be helpful. For those who are here, it's still helpful. If you have questions, please note them. Write them down, note them. I'd like to take those questions. The idea is the face of a spirit. A spirit has an idea. That is the face of a spirit. You, as a person, are able to interact with spirits because you can interact with ideas. You don't need to go around saying spirit this, spirit that, let it there. You don't need to say that. You just interact with the idea. The spirit and the idea cannot be separated. I don't know if I'm making sense. They cannot be separated. If you love the idea, you love the spirit. If you hate the idea, you hate the spirit. No. So another illusion that people get is by saying, I like the spirit, and they don't know the idea, and they don't love the idea. Spirits don't work like that. Spirits don't work like, flesh and blood. It's like, oh, we're friends. I like you, which I like you, we're friends. Or we don't know each other, we don't know anything, we don't like that. Spirits don't work like that. You have to know, you have to accept, and then we work together. And so you can see that man has a very, very unique role, a unique ability. The ability to engage with ideas, unseen, untouched, untouchable, unseeable. Man has the ability to see ideas that cannot be seen. So if I say peace, you can see peace. Even though you don't see any picture, you see it. You say, oh, I see, I get it. Your ability to interact with that realm, the realm of ideas, take that realm and transmit it into manifestation, physical manifestation. So we said God can be understood by his work product. The work product of someone is them expressing their idea. God's work product is him expressing his idea. Right? Yeah. And even the way he has designed the world that he created, that way tells you about him. Because he only does after himself. So if you have eyes to see, you will be able to see the idea of the person who did this. The idea. So when we look through creation, we can see a pattern. Right? God works. God works. Everything God does is after himself, after his nature. God works, you work. You work. Everything you do is after your nature. God, however, unlike you, everything God does works. Everything you do may not work. Do you see? But everything God does works. God only does it because it works. In fact, what he's concerned about is that it works. So, if you have a better idea that will work better, and you offer it to him, he will take your idea. He doesn't have any bias. There's no bias in him. Do you see? Do you see my point? If there was any bias in him, then the world wouldn't, nature would not, nature even in this state, because nature is not in its original state, would not work like this. The way you can, tomorrow morning the sun will rise. And it's been rising for how many days now? How many days has the sun been rising? Many days. That kind of consistency comes from a mind that is consistent. Do you see? So God works. It works. Because he only does what works. He is absolutely dependable. Otherwise he wouldn't be. Then we talked about the nature of reality, given that what God designed bears his fingerprint. The nature of reality is triphasic. Triphasic. We talked about what is above, what is beneath, and manifestation. Right? We talked about root, tree, and fruits. We talked about oil, flame, and light. Does everyone remember that? Yeah. It's triphasic. The manifestation realm is the lowest. Do you see? The manifestation realm is the lowest realm because it depends on higher realms. Does that make sense? Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay. The manifestation realm is the lowest realm. What you see in the physical world is the last thing to happen. Do you see? So things happen, then they happen again, then they happen again. Do you see? Do you realize that when you eat an apple, it has happened in the root? Whatever you are eating in that apple has already happened. The root has already experienced it. Right? The tree has experienced it. Then the fruit captures it, and then you eat it. What you experience when a flame is shining has already been in the oil, and then has been in the flame, and now it's shining on you. What you do has already been in your mind, in your thinking. It is first in your thinking, then in your speaking, and then in your doing. Okay, I'm going to pause there now. Any questions before we kind of move forward? Yes, sir.
So yeah, I understand that spiritual ideas, man by ideas. I would like to ask, man is spirit being. So can man sell himself ideas?
Man is
spirit being. For instance, the differentiation that spirit sells ideas,
yes.
Man buys ideas.
Yes. Man can also sell ideas. Yes. Because man expresses them. The ability to express the idea is the ability to sell it. Do you see? Just as spirits don't buy.
Okay, but man doesn't have original ideas then.
Right. Man doesn't have original ideas. Man is a trader.
Man is a trader.
Buys.
Just
merchant.
But he sells to other men. So in essence, he's able to, he can't sell to spirits, but he can sell to other men. Because men are the only buyers.
So when we say you have like insight, right? Let's say you have existing knowledge and you're able to connect maybe newfound knowledge. You know, would you say that is
Can we get some air, please? Yes.
So I'm trying to think about the question properly.
Yeah.
So like when you said we don't everything we know we've been told, for instance.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the concept of gaining insight, for instance, that means you're able to look at the known, for instance, and derive maybe something that is unknown or that was not clear enough.
Okay.
Original.
Okay.
Would you still say that? So okay, basically, where does insight come from in that sense?
Insight comes from your eye.
But that means your eye has been fed something.
It means your eye has changed. Yes, your eye can be fed many things. Okay. So let me go on to this idea. I'm going to give you a new idea. This is a new idea. What is seen must, by the nature of things, have the same nature as what is doing the seeing. What is heard must have the same nature as what is doing the hearing. You see, what is seen must have the same nature as what is able to see it. Otherwise, there is no seeing. I don't know whether you're getting that.
Yes.
What is seen, and what is receiving it. What is receiving it must be able to capture it. Do you see? Okay. I'm not really getting any feedback.
Yeah,
I need feedback from the room to know that.
Yes.
Is it making sense?
Yeah.
So, when what you hear and what is doing the hearing are not different things. When I say they're not different things, let's just say they must at least have overlapping characteristics. They must be, otherwise they can't. If there's no overlapping characteristics, you can't capture. Do you see? You can't capture. Well, if they're overlapping, then they can interact and something can happen and you can see and you can hear. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start. So I'm gonna give you, then some things follow from that are quite important. That's number one. What do you hear? Let's start there. What do you hear?
Sound.
What do you hear?
Words.
What do you hear?
What do I hear?
Yes.
Do you mean like physically?
Take your pick. Just feel free to go for it.
Hear your mind.
I'm talking. What is the thing that is heard? We hear. What is the thing that is heard?
What?
Words. So let's take words. If words is what you hear, from what I have just said, it means what is hearing is a word. It means the ear that hears words itself is a word. Only a word can hear words. Do you see?
So I think you're going to answer this, and you already answered it. It was a question online. If
Yes.
insight comes through the eyes, how do blind people get insight?
Okay.
So we already answered that. I just wanted to make sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So the ear is a what?
Word.
A word. What do you see? What do you see?
Lights.
Anyone else? Is that all you see? Okay.
Colors. Light, which is light.
Shapes.
Shapes. But what is the thing that is universal that you see? Because someone said colors, someone said shapes. These are all different aspects. What is that universal? What is the thing that we see?
Light.
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 So we are light.
So the eye is a
Light.
light. Light sees light. Words see words. So your eye is not some passive thing. It is just, listen very, very carefully. It is just the thing in the category of things you are perceiving. You have chosen to be the governor of them all. Do you see? Do I need to go slower? What you perceive are ideas.
Yes.
The way you perceive ideas is with an idea you have chosen. That idea that you have chosen is your eye. It is the idea through which you see all other ideas. Do you see? To see the other ideas differently, yes, you have to pick another idea and make that idea your eye. Then you will see everything else different. What I'm trying to say is the same point I was making last week, which is that your sight, your perception is not a passive enterprise. It's not just, you don't see things the way they are. It's not passive. There is almost think about an architect. There is an architect who is busy creating. You know, you see it in the movies now, where it's like they zoom into the guy's mind, and there's some guy in his mind. There's a massive screen. There's some little people, you know, and they're running and say, "Oh, he wants to say hello to her." And they're running around. They're moving the levers, and they're. You've seen those movies? Yeah. So that concept of there's a mechanism inside. As funny as it is, and it's usually used for comedic effect, I want you to consider that there is an architect building what you call your perception, what you call your imagination of this world, of anything, is a building project. There is an architect, there is a governor, there is a project manager. That project manager, that architect, that governor is your eye. Therefore, to have any insights, he's the one that's giving you insights. He's giving you insights by building insights.
Okay. So I have two questions. I don't know if it's too premature.
Yes, yeah. Okay, go on, feel free, and I'll decide. Go on.
Okay. So first is when it comes to your emotions, for instance, or your subconscious. So far, what I've come to know, or what I've come to be told, is the aspects of your mind that you have more control over than some other aspect and some other aspect of the mind you don't have control over. Meaning that there are certain things happening underneath, right? So if you are the architect, like your eye sees everything and controls everything, does that mean, or would that be correct, if things like emotional reactions cannot be predicted. That's number one. And number two question is, I think the idea of the architects working in your mind to, piece all of these things together and what it says, and align them together. Sometimes, in the Christian worldview, sometimes that can overlap with what we talk about when we talk about the Holy Spirit. That's why sometimes there is a confusion of, is it my mind that is feeding me this, or is it a supernatural engagement? So how do you exactly differentiate if all of this is actually happening?
Okay, so I have 2 points. Number one, have you listened to last week?
No, I haven't.
You need to listen to last week. Yeah, we spent 2 hours talking. I think that's very important to catch up on some of them. No, because I think what you are doing without realizing it is you are using your eye. You are trying to get information to add to the information you have. That is. Most people spend their lives gathering information to build the same house that they have been building, and they never change this type of architecture. And that's because you use what you know to judge what you don't know. So that, am I communicating? What you know, if what you know judges what you don't know, you will never know anything new. You understand? Because you're trying to fit it into a concept. It needs to fit in. Don't do that. When you're coming to the cusp of breakthrough in your thinking, you will have to drop like a child. Like you have to drop what you know and enter into a new world. You understand? It's like Alice in Wonderland. In this world, sometimes they walk on their hands. In this world, it's a different world. That's very key. That's very, very key. So, I can't answer those questions because they are making many assumptions already. Your head subconscious. If I say I don't know what subconscious is, it doesn't exist in my world. You're already coming from somewhere. So let's stick, because what we're talking about is architecture of all things. And we said that it's triphasic. That's why I said it's triphasic. This root is your thoughts and imaginations. This fruit is your words and actions. This tree that connects the two is what you call your mind. Your mind is a bridge. It's a bridge that connects the roots called your heart with the fruits, which are your words and actions. So your concept of the mind, your concept of the heart, that's why I keep saying things like your eye, your eye, your eye. That's what I'm very deliberate. Because when I say mind, everyone has a different concept of mind. Like, what is the mind? Who knows? So let's keep it simple. We're learning, we're coming to a new world, and then we can build and see. Okay? But the point I was trying to make is that what you see and what sees is the same order of things. So your eye is an idea. So what happens a lot of the time is that people are holding on to that idea. They don't know it. Because that idea gives you your sense of self. It is your eye, it's the way you look at the world. It's the way the world makes sense. If I take it from you, it's the way you work, it's the way you get kudos, it's the way you are. It's because that eye is working for you. And I say, give me your eye. But people don't know. People are like, give me knowledge. Give me knowledge. Let me look at it with my eye. It's not making sense. But the world doesn't change because your eye will only construct according to what it is. So I'm just reinforcing our point last week that nothing's as it seems, to let you know that your eye is actually an idea that you have held on to. what the essence of parenting is to give children to inherit the eyes of their parents. If you do not inherit the eyes of your parents, then you are not your parents' child. You have broken lineage. Your lineage is your lineage because of the eye. When you remember the idea, man is a living idea, right? Yes. That idea is rooted in the eye, right? When people reproduce, they want to reproduce that idea, whether or not they like it. That is why some parents will have favorite children, because they're seeing the idea they like. The idea is working for them. I don't know if I'm making sense. At some point, people sometimes, if they say, no, I want another idea, at that point you've broken lineage. The real lineage is the idea lineage. Okay? So, the hardest thing people find is to change their idea. Usually what happens is that they have this idea framework. They're like, give me to add to this. It's like, I want to keep repeating the same pattern of ideas within my framework. But to change the pattern of ideas, which is the idea framework, which is the idea itself, that people often don't find. So what I want to encourage is like learning a new language. Okay, look at that. When you are learning a new language, you first start thinking about the new language in your current language. Do you know that? It's like you're thinking about another language, but you're using another language and you are not in the language yet. Language is not in it. You don't see it yet. At some point you have to give up. You see? And then think in that language. That language now becomes governor. That's why when people ask between languages, what does that mean your language? You are trying to, and many Nigerians speak more than one language, you are trying to carry the meaning here and translate it into their language. Many times they will ask you funny questions. It's funny because in the language you are coming from, it doesn't make sense. Those questions, they don't even make sense. Do you see what I mean? I'm sure you can think of an example. I can't think of any more right now. But it's like, in this language, we don't think of it like that. This is the way we think of it.
Yeah.
In your language, you think of it like that. So I'm trying to translate between the two. So this person will see it from the outside. They won't get it. But this person who has this language will see it from the inside. They'll get it. That's the way the eye is. So what has to happen if you are going to get a new eye is that the language that is foreign to you has to come at you with enough pace and with enough force and with enough power that it displaces your eye in the process, and you allow it to do that. And so now you change eyes and you begin to look at it with this new eye. I don't know if I'm communicating.
Yes.
So be aware of that as you're listening. That is the apex of humility. Being aware that you are not just listening to words, you are listening to a way of seeing the world. That you see, you can listen to words and say, okay, but keep it, you can keep your worldview the same, or you can change it. That's idea one. Idea two, it is not a metaphor. It is not a metaphor. What I say is not a metaphor. When I talk about the lamp being a picture of a triphasic reality, when I talk about the tree being a picture of a triphasic reality, none of these things are metaphors. This again is another big illusion of the modern world. We were like, oh, it's a metaphor, meaning it's somehow divorced from real reality, but it's somehow telling me about real reality. No. We must go back to the beginning. God, who created heaven and earth, created it triphasic after himself. And it is triphasic. That's why things are triphasic. It's not some metaphor trying to explain something. It is the thing telling you about itself. That is why we're using reality to talk about reality. Do you see? That's very important to get. It's not a metaphor. It's true because it's true, and it's cascading down to even visible things that you can see and interact with. This triphasic nature of reality is why you have a bank account, why you have cash on you, why you have the display of your bank account. Do you see what I mean? Your bank account on its own is roots. We can't see it, it's below the surface. What do we see? The display. Do you see that? And that display requires room. The bank account, your bank account can be as big as from Dubai to Manchester. Let's say you can measure bank account with space. That's not enough room to display what's in your bank account. You cannot display what's in your bank account in your bank account. Am I making sense? This is why there are phases. In the bank account phase, you cannot display. You can have everything, but it can't be displayed. You need another phase to then display it. So you have a bank account. You have a bank account. Okay? And then you want to say, okay, I want to show you my money. I want to show you that I'm richer than Dangote. Or bring half of my bank account, bring it out in cash, raw cash, and I put trailers and they blind the road, they block the road, the whole of the Lagos is blocked. It's cash. I just want to show you. I want you to walk and see all the trailers full of money. That's another dimension. But that itself, you can start looking at that thing. You can be looking at it, watching it, it's looking at you, and you start today. Yes or no?
Yeah,
of course. You need another phase, right? Where it's interacting and producing and bringing, so you can eat your money, but it's not your money you're eating. You're eating it in another phase. Am I communicating? This is important because I want to show you it is not a metaphor. The reason everything is like this is it's not a metaphor. That is the way it is. Your heart is your bank account. We can't see it. It's hidden. It's buried. It's your bank account. It's your vault. Nobody can see it. You are the one that has access to it. But if it remains there, it cannot be displayed. We cannot see the glory of it. We cannot see anything. Your mind is cash to spend. It's liquid money now, ready to move, ready to interact. Right? The words and actions are the way you trade. Are you seeing that? The reason I'm trying to show you that none of these are metaphors. Do you see why I'm saying? Because if I keep showing you stuff like this, you keep saying, oh, these are good metaphors. I'm trying to show you they are not metaphors. That's why they are like this. That's why they are so consistent. That's why the tree has a hidden phase. We call it the idea of treasury. We don't know the idea of a treasury, of a vault. We know that idea is there. We know it. We get it. It's hidden. That's a hidden phase of reality. Right? Then there is a manifestation phase that we interact with and experience. It becomes experiential for us. And there is something that bridges. There's a current that bridges. That thing that bridges, it must be current. Current. It must be current. There's flow. There's flow. Flow. I'm trying to tell you. The same with this. Treasury, oil, hidden. The flame looks constant. Looks like it's like a flame. It's a thing. But you know it's not a thing. You can't grab it. You can't put it in your pocket. Excuse me. It's flow. It's dynamic. It's trafficking. And then in this place you are trading with light. Okay. So it's not a metaphor. I want to say that over and over. It's not a metaphor. This is the nature of reality. When God created heaven and earth, He put the waters above and the waters beneath and the manifestation realm in between. The waters above, source. Source. Source as God. Waters beneath, source. Source on earth. You see what I'm saying? God is source. Put it in your bank account. Then from your bank account, you can start. So in this picture, the seed, right, represents the doorway between heaven and earth. Last week I talked about the fruit, yes? I talked about where does the fruit come from? So it comes from heaven. There needs to be a doorway between heaven and earth. This is the problem now. This is where people trip up. Because they look at the tree and they say, yeah, I know where it comes from. It comes from the soil. Right. Because they can't see the doorway. There is a doorway from heaven that supplies your fruits, that supplies your grain, that supplies your crops. If that doorway closes, you have nothing. It is that doorway, and that doorway is represented by the seed. That's why seed is such an important yet mysterious concept. Seed represents infinity. Infinity. You have to say infinity is unquantifiable, endless number. But this is not endless number. This is endless life of that kind. So an apple seed, an orange seed is the endless life of that kind. Another way to say it is eternity. Right? The reason it represents that is because it is a key to an eternal storehouse. When you have the key to an eternal storehouse, you have that eternal storehouse. The person that has the storehouse is the person that has the key. Yeah. Right? So the seed represents this dimension. Right? Yeah. At the same time, interfacing and disappearing to become the roots, which is this dimension. So I talked about man, woman, and child in manifestation. Do you remember? Guys, do you remember?
Yes.
Man, woman, child. And I said that the reflection, the point of the waters beneath is to reflect what the waters above has given. This is the way. This is. So this seed, watch this. This seed opens the door from the storehouse from heaven. So heaven is here, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. And this soil begins to reflect back to heaven what it received. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Heaven is looking down and seeing the reflection. What that means is that things happen. What that means is that if something is to be authentic, it must first be here. In fact, it must first be here. Do you see me? If we were to trace everything back to its source, we must trace it back to heaven. Now, I think at this point, I've gotten to a critical juncture. Because you have to follow me, so at this point, we make a move. Do you see that? We must, everything goes back here, comes from here. So this is the original form, this is the original intention, this is the original way. That then comes this way, and then.
Yes.
Do you see that? Do you see that? So if you go to an apple tree, or an orange tree, and you pick an orange, but before you touch the orange, you say, stop. That orange did not come through that tree. It did not come through the path where the oranges came from. Do you realize what I've just told you? What have I told you? What's the implication? That orange did not come through the way the other oranges came. But you are seeing it and you're about to go grab it. You haven't grabbed it yet. What do you expect to grab? Something bad. Yes. Yes.
But something
Different, meaning it's not an orange. It may look like an orange, but it's not an orange. In all likelihood, it's a plastic orange that someone puts on the tree. Do you see my point?
Yeah.
If it is real, if it is authentic, it must come from here. Do you see? Okay. So it must have existed in the preceding higher phases and then exist in this phase. It's like saying, a good point, like saying a human being and saying, if you're about to shake this guy, Daniel, you're about to shake his hand, and I say, stop! This guy never came to the womb. Never came to the womb. What have I said?
It's not human.
It's not human.
Like, you don't shake his
So it looks human. I know you are not human. If you don't come to the womb, you are not human. Cueing Jesus, cueing incarnation, cueing. Do you see that? Do you see that? For it to be authentic, it must have existed in these phases. Am I making sense?
Yes.
That is the order. That is the way God designed it. It will have the root. Because if there is no root and no tree, what you call a fruit cannot exist without the support, without the sponsorship. Such as if there's no treasury, we can't build a city. We need a bank to bankroll our city. So even though you are seeing the city and the city looks like it's just on its own, it's not on its own. It's leaning back on a treasury. I'm just showing you every way I can. This is the order of all created things. So when we say what is truth, we must think about truth not first in manifestation realm, in what you can see and touch. That's where the first issue is. Because what is truth? If you say what is factual, it cannot be. It cannot be what's factual. Do you see? You can't say what is a fruit, what's on a tree. No. Someone can put it there. Now, we can't start there.
Yes.
We must go to an original phase. Right? And then trace it all the way through to manifestation. Right?
Yes.
And then. So, it starts in heaven. It moves into the foundation of the earth. And then it comes into what you call the world. Meaning the things you can touch, feel, smell. All that is what you call earth. But there is something called the foundation of the earth, which is the invisible part of earth that gives birth to the physical earth. This foundation of the earth, I'm going to show you now. This foundation of the earth is inside you. Do you see that? It's inside man. That's why when man fell,
Earth.
earth. Do you see?
Yes.
So this is what's inside you. Okay. So we can talk about truth starting in heaven, then what's inside man's heart, then what's manifested through man and on earth. We must be able to trace it. If it is authentic, it must cut across. Okay. That's number one. Number two, if it is truth, it must be universal. Everyone agreed that truth cannot be a tribal concept. Whatever is true. Okay, I didn't say what is true. Remember that we can't start with what is true.
Yeah.
Because to know what is true, you are defining something, you are describing something with reference to a concept called truth.
Yeah.
So we must start with a concept called truth, from which we can now determine whether something is true or not true. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So truth must be universal, applicable to everything, anything, always, anytime, anywhere. Universal. There is no tribalism. There is no ethnicity. There is no color. Truth is universal. If it is not universally applicable, then it can't be true. Here, many religious inclined minds struggle because everybody thinks they have truth. Well, I don't know if everyone thinks that, but this religious people, even though the question what is truth is hardly ever answered, you don't hear people talk about what is truth. Ask. Not even ask, talk less of answer yet. So that's when you know truth is not parochial, it's not tribal, it must be universal. Right? It must be so universal, even children get it. Universal. Okay? That's one. Number two, it must be precise. It cannot be, okay, so it must be both universal and exclusive. So it's universal, applicable across the board. But this idea called truth, once we find it, there cannot be another idea that's also truth. Another different idea that cannot be. All that must be after that is something derived from that. Then that thing will be true. Do you see?
Yeah, like it's aligning to the origin.
Yes. This is an origin idea. It's an apex idea. It's a source code idea. Can we just check that people online are following? I just want to make sure people are following. Okay. But if you are not following for any reason, I'm happy to pause, stop. Okay. So what I say, first of all, truth must be, if it's to be authentic, we can trace it through all the phases.
Yes.
Right? It must be universal, applicable everywhere. It can't be a modern thing, and it can't be ancient but not applicable today. The world cannot evolve past it. Technology cannot move past it. It must be universal. Two, it must be exclusive, meaning what is truth is truth. It's like truth is a knife's edge. It's like it's there and that's it. Anything there is not it. So it must be both universal and exclusive. Right? Next point. Now watch this very carefully. Truth must be coherent. Coherent. Meaning there must be no discord in the concept. It cannot have any glitches. It must be glitch free. I'll give you another idea that goes with that. Truth is forever. They say diamonds are forever. I'll tell you something that is forever. Truth. Truth is forever. Because like the diamond, it is perfectly coherent. You know why they say diamonds are forever?
Yeah.
Because they last so long. Do you know why they last so long? You never meet a diamond and say, this diamond expired. That's a good diamond. It was 500 years ago when they found this one, it was good. But 500 years, it's now expired. 500 years later, diamonds don't expire. Why don't they expire?
The bond of the atoms is strongest.
It's coherent. There is perfect harmony within it. So it stays. And because it stays as it is, and it's coherent, nothing can affect it. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yes.
That internal coherence means that there is no dysfunction within it. Now, diamonds are not perfectly functional, in that there is dysfunction sometimes. That's inclusion or whatever they're called. But if we were to take it, take the example to its logical end, Yeah. Same thing with gold. Gold, pure gold. The reason gold is pure, when they say gold, pure gold, means there is nothing contaminating it. It's coherent. When there's nothing contaminating it, there's incoherence. When it's gold and it's gold, they say store your value in gold because money can disappear tomorrow. But gold has always been valuable. Why? Because it's such a coherent thing. I want you to notice that these things that are very valuable. Now, what I'm about to say, very important. Do you notice something? They are both our jewels. And they are both our most prized industrial assets. Do you get what I just said? Yes. Industrial applications off the charts. And they're the ones that you will go and buy in the shop to just wear on your neck without any industrial application. So, what are the two characteristics? Functional, extremely functional, and extremely beautiful. Did you see that? So that leads me to the next point of truth. Truth is functional. It does the job. It gets it done. I'll explain more what that means. And two, which is not different, they are together. It is because of that coherence that I'm talking about that it is functional. So the diamond is so coherent that it is one of the strongest materials on earth. So when you want to drill, use that diamond. That's the same diamond. Because it's so coherent, it's so beautiful. Is that coherence that makes it beautiful? You see? It's because gold is so coherent. It's the reason it is useful industrially, and it's the reason it is beautiful. It's like, oh, what's that? It's a gold ring. I like it. Gold is not beautiful because people looked at it and said, this is so coherent. People just look at it and they like it. The reason it's so liked is the same reason it is so useful. And it's a diamond, look at these industrial applications. It's so useful to us, it's been helpful to us. Let's be kind to it and wear it. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm showing you an eternal pattern there. Now I want to now tell you something that is like gold and diamond that you may not have thought of. Light. That's the way light is. Light lasts forever. Some of you are thinking, how does light last forever? I'll tell you how light lasts forever. Well, let's start with the one that's easy to talk about, the sun. Right? That's just been there. When I say forever, note that these lights I'm talking about are not actually forever, ever, ever. They are, everything we see is falling. Everything we see is a myopic picture of a perfect thing. But it still makes the point. The sun, light, forever. When people write contracts and they say, okay, we're going to sell this land to you, we're going to leasehold for 499 years, what's your name, what's your address, make sure you use a very permanent address, this leasehold is for 499 years, across territories, and the lawyers are scratching their head. And people really consider the sun may not. You see, what if the sun is not there? How will we do this? I don't know that. It's a giving. Light will be there. The sun will be like that. It's like the sun is doing its job. We bank on it to plan. You don't plan and say tomorrow if there's light from the sky, I will go to the market. But if there's no light in the sky, I will not. No. I don't know if I'm making sense. You don't even think about it. It is so constant, so dependable light. Imagine we wake up one morning and the sun is not rising. People would it will be extremely complete, but people don't expect that because the thing has done that. It's just there shining. Light But I'll come back to that about this work. But the 2 points I was making about functionality and beauty. We know, we say, it is such a beautiful day. In Europe, in England, there are big places that are not tropical like us. In Nigeria, in the tropics, we don't talk so much like that. Nigerians don't talk so much like that. But yes, I need more volume. Do I have more volume now? Is there more volume now? Okay. Yes. So, when they say, today is such a beautiful day, it will be good to go to the park, what do they say? Light! Beauty. Light. If you're in the beauty industry, light. Light is your working implement. It's the light you're working with. And everything you eat draws its energy away from light. Light is what feeds the earth. Feeds the earth. Those two things are interwoven. It is because it is coherent that it is both beautiful, meaning pleasant, pleasurable, and useful, meaning functional, meaning supporting life, sponsoring life, feeding life, functional. So, we have said that truth is universal. Truth is exclusively truth. It is universal in all dimensions of universality. That it is functional and beautiful. In fact, it is function and beauty captured. It is the ultimate capture of function and beauty. So what is true is then functional and beautiful. You see, what is beautiful, whether you analyze it or not, right? The ones that like to analyze things will go and analyze it first. But when you say something is beautiful, it's because it's conforming to a law.
Yes.
You see? And when you say something is functional, it's because it's conforming to a law. There is something inside it that is working in a certain way. So when something is functional and beautiful, it's because it conforms to function and beauty. I am telling you that what you call function and beauty has another name: truth. So truth, what is true, then is functional and beautiful. Because what is true is coherent. It derives its nature from truth. So truth is function, truth is beauty, truth is coherence. So what is true is coherent. Truth is coherence. It is coherence in itself. You can see it's a very good thing. Like, I mean, you want truth. I mean, you knew you wanted truth before, but now it's like, this is good stuff. Right? This is good stuff. Yes. Okay. Having said all this, it then occurs to us, or it should occur to us, that truth, watch this, is what gives rise to and sustains life. Again, questions, very welcome. It is because it is functional. So, like the sun, right? In this case, the sun is not giving rise to anything. The sun is simply sustaining, right? Because it's at the core of functionality is sustenance of life. What is most functional is what sustains life at different levels. What? Should we try another one?
Yeah.
Air. We don't say tomorrow there's air. We will have that meeting. Yeah, we'll have that meeting tomorrow. If there's air. Air is just there. Watch this, so watch this. It's not just there. Air doesn't just stand there, look at you. You don't have to ask. All you have to do is for there to be a space and you go and fill it.
Yeah.
Do you know that? Do you realize that? All there has to be a space and you go and fill it. And it will bring with it life. That's what happens when you breathe. You don't think about your breathing. All you have to do is just create space. What you call breathing in is just creating space. Air rushes. It's functional. Do you see? It's functional. It rushes in, does its job, you push it out, it goes out. You need it, you don't have to ask for it. It's there. It's functional. And it's beautiful. Now, the beautiful part of it has been corrupted. But it's beautiful. Because it is what carries the scents and fragrances that we like. Even though the normal air you breathe mostly has no odor. It's odorless. So there is an odorless mixture. That's the beauty. Odorless mixture. But it is the basis for the beauty of smell.
Yeah.
So you see, I've gone with lights, I've gone with air. Where the link, something is linking. Is something linking for you? No, something linking.
Yes.
Sorry?
Five senses.
You see why I started with the eye? And saying, so we're going to find out that truth has something to do with your perception. At some point there's going to be some interlink. Okay, so truth is life sustaining. That is why it is so important. So it means that where truth is missing, life is missing. Think about that. Because where truth is missing, okay, let's put it this way. Where truth is missing, wherever it is, remember truth is universal.
Yes.
Right? Because it's universal, in every place, every dimension, every facet in which we're considering, what we're considering are things or concepts or whatever it is we're considering there, we can now say those are true or untrue. Right? If they are untrue, that means truth is missing. Because truth is sitting there and right. If they are untrue, right, life is missing. I will explain that because you might wonder, okay, watch this. In recent years, we've had some times where we've seen, okay, no, let me start again. Okay, you buy a new house, you want to move your family into new, maybe buy it for your own, for wife and children or for your parents, just to celebrate them. You came into some good amount of money and you bought the house in Nigeria, let's put it in Nigeria. And you want to make sure that this house is a house they live in, not a house that falls on them. Right?
Yeah.
What do? Check.
Yes.
You go into the ground and start checking foundation.
You get it. Structural.
Structural.
Structural integrity.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Structural integrity.
You check the structural integrity. Sorry, I want to. Okay, we check the integrity. But that word, does that word sound familiar to us?
Yeah.
It sounds like a kind of moral word.
Yeah.
A word about your character. That guy is a man of what?
Integrity.
Is that what we're talking about?
No.
No. We're talking about cold hard science here. Do you understand?
Yeah.
No. Am I making sense?
Yes.
This is cold hard science. So don't get mushy about it. It's cold cold, hard science. The house either has integrity or is lacking integrity. If that house does not have structural integrity, I'm going to ask you a question. Does that house exist? Structural integrity. Does that house exist?
It exists. It's temporary.
It is destined for destruction.
My God.
Sounds like a book.
I think
I think the Nigerian climate is affected because in some climates, it's like the next day, the system is working. So
Bring it down.
such that it's like deregulated.
The reason I asked you that is that it's not going to be there for long.
Yeah.
So is it there now? Are you sure?
But it is.
It is
pretending as if it's dead. Is that it is actually dead?
It is a lie. It is a standing lie.
as though it's
Standing. It's as if it's.
Why is it a lie? Because we just talked about what is true. What is true lasts
forever. So it's a lie.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know if it, but I believe it will help.
Yes.
On our street, right?
Yes.
There was a building, and we're talking about it yesterday. The world is so temporal and passing. This material manifestation of it. So this building, 2 weeks ago, was standing. People were living inside, 2 floors. Then there was a collapse of one of the slabs. There was no life lost, but the word got out to the Lagos State Agency for Building Construction. Then they sent like different task force, police. They went to that building, rounded it up, covered the whole street, evacuated every single person. That building was there for, last 2 years, right? That been there. You know, it's been there for over 30 years, but we have seen it, we've touched it. The next day, that building was not a building, it was a site, of a plot.
Yes.
So was that building there?
So I'm now showing you the concept of a lie because we're now understanding what is true. So it is lying. That building is lying to you. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is it lying to you? Because it lacks integrity. So it is not truth. This thing called structural integrity is what I've been calling coherence. You can call it internal harmony, coherence, call it what you it makes sense on its own. It obeys the laws of existence. That building is disobeying the laws of existence. So the question is, does it exist? This is the problem people have. Because they can touch it, they say it is real. Now, the problem is that gets into trouble because it looks like they are doing okay until the day they are not, in which case, I don't know if so that means there are laws that govern coherence. Coherence is the obedience to those universal, fundamental, eternal laws. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
So you can talk about the truth as encapsulating the law of life. I moved fast and I'm connecting things, so feel free to pull me back, stop me. But just like the building, this is the laws of physical existence. you can specify for buildings. Remember the universality of what we're saying. When I go into a building, it will have to be applied to buildings. So it has to be universal. So you can link it to. Do you understand? When somebody is sick, but they don't know they're sick, they're just sick, and that sickness is unto death. And they're alive. Is their body alive? Same thing in the building. What you call sickness is internal incoherence. I don't know if I'm communicating. It's internal incoherence. And once incoherence is there, life is missing. Even though it looks like it is there. The building looks like it is there. But is it there? The person looks like they're there. But are they there? Am I communicating? Truth is the encapsulation of the law of life. The logic of life. Meaning, when we say what this thing is, when we see what this thing is, this thing called truth is the way things live and continue living. Is the way things are and continue being. Anything. Coherence. Building. Tree. Same thing. Body and tree are similar, you can see that. Being biological. So, coherence means obeying a set of laws that make for perpetual functionality. So when something looks beautiful, when something looks beautiful, but it disobeys the law of coherence, is it really beautiful? It's yeah, not sleeping beauty like
Our body is aligned to us, but we don't last long.
They don't? But what we are saying is universal. Just as you see the implication, let it be just hitting you.
I'm just trying to just see you first mention integrity point.
Yes.
Connected to building.
I'm saying we're applying this to building, tree, body.
Okay, for a particular phase. Like if, for instance, the body, can we say our body is truly coherent?
No, we know that because they don't last forever.
With our spirit.
They're going to just stay with us. And then jumping spirit, going there, just be calm.
No, I was just trying to get that application because of that diagram.
Yes, this diagram, yeah.
Yes.
Because I do the diagram because we talked about this and this, and I just added this.
Okay, it's not pointing back to integrity and coherence.
It's pointing back to it because I use body to talk about incoherence. When the body is sick, it's incoherent.
Okay.
When the building is incoherent, it's going to collapse.
Alright.
When the body is sick, it's not going to be there. I'm just using. Remember that truth exists across all phases.
Yes.
So even though these are physical things, so in the physical phase, it's still applicable. Remember, it's universal. Universal. So it's true. Anyway. If you wake up in the night and what you know to be true is not true, it's not true. What you see. This set of laws that make for coherence. Truth is the law of life. Because functionality, what we call functionality and beauty, are really the two. Watch what I'm about to say. They are the two wings of life. That's what life is. Life is functional beauty or beautiful functionality. That's what life is. Any questions? I hope this week we're getting closer to. I'm just looking at the time. We're getting closer to. Remember, we started with a set of questions. What is truth? Why is it important? What are the implications of your answers to the above two? I hope we're getting closer to. So, are there any questions online? Okay, who is confused? You have a question?
Yeah.
Okay. Who is confused? Yeah, I'm confused. I don't really know what's going on. Please raise your hand. If you're online and you're confused, please raise your hand. I really want to know if people are following. You can see that so far we have sounded very unreligious. Can you tell?
Yes.
Can you tell there's a universality to this?
Yes.
It's true. It's like if it's true only in church, then it's not true. If it's true only in the mosque, it's not true. If it's true, do you understand?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for a lot of people, religious language has religion, man-made stuff has just confused the whole thing. Truth is true. It's simple truth. Okay. Any question? If there are questions, any confused parties, please raise your hand. Meanwhile, we have a question.
Yes. So I was trying to understand you introduced the terminology because at first when you used to say I didn't understand. So now I understand the I you're referring to like inner
I.
The inner I.
Yes.
Is the mind.
Which is the inner eye.
Okay, which is the inner eye. So that's why I'm asking. So what's your in your own language? What is the mind? And you also, when you were talking to him, you also mentioned the heart.
Yes.
So I also wanted to know what is your understanding of the heart.
I wouldn't worry so much about that for now. When we get on truth, all these things will then make sense. These are specifics of the architecture of your soul, which, as much as it's useful to know, I don't think it gets in the way of where we're going. We get that there is thinking and imagination, right? And there is the speaking and doing, right? Right?
Yeah.
And those two ends, we all know that, whatever it is, so let's just work with that. Make sense? Yes. Yeah, that's yes. Okay. So, now watch this. Yeah?
Yeah.
This is you. Okay. Now, before I talk about you, you know that if I want to talk about the whole world, if I talk about you, I've already talked about the whole world. The whole world is simply you expressed out. Is you there. Is a mirror of you. Am I making sense? Do you see my point? If the world had different people in it, the world would look different. Am I making sense? Yeah. The world buildings don't just stand up and man is moving. When you see construction and they're moving fast. You don't say the building is moving fast. You say they are moving fast. So the building is moving fast. Things are moving, because people are thinking and moving. So I want to focus on man, and you will see how that translates. Now I want to look at this fruit here in particular. Right? Right?
Yeah.
If there is truth here, yeah?
Yeah.
That is feeding through out. This coherence will lead to these fruits, leading to coherence, or let's put it this way, leading to life in the world, supporting life. Our words and actions, the words and actions of coming from truth. This is a person. Okay, let's make this clear. Thoughts, everybody get that?
Yes.
And imagination. Yeah? Words and what? Actions. If this is truth, or let's say, if this is true, then these will have the effect of promoting life.
Yes.
Everyone get that? Okay. So what would this have to be saying for this to be the case? And I'm going to tell you what it's going to be saying. And that's what we're going to wrap up today. This is truth in the heart of a man. All good things for all men always.
Boy.
Shall I say that again?
Yes.
If a person does not, their thought and imagination is not obeying this law that I've just, which is the law of life. All good things, meaning because your thought and imagination is your place of your intention, of your planning, of your purposing, is the treasure house, is the driver, is the driver and the source that's propelling our words and actions, right? This is truth at that level. All good things for all men, always. Only good things for every single human, always. That is truth. At this level. I think people need a minute, right? To just think about that. Shall I give a minute to the room? If you don't agree with only good things for all people all the time, then there is incoherence. Because you think you should have only good things. So, in your thinking, you are saying some people should have good things, some people should have bad things. There's incoherence. Meaning, I can't look at it like a diamond. I can't look at it from every direction and it looks the same. If I look at it from this direction, your direction, it looks good. If I look at it from another person's direction, it looks terrible. Do you see? It's incoherent. It's not true. All good things for all people all the time. Will be true in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, tomorrow. And guess what? It is universal. Guess what also? It's exclusive.
Yes.
Meaning you cannot have another thing that is
Perfect.
also perfect truth. That at this nothing can substitute it. You can say, okay, that's a good one. What of? And I'm happy with any suggestion. Any you can bring, go to the end of the world and come back. I mean, you might be thinking, but what of this kind of people? What of this kind of people? That's fine, please. It's okay. You can voice it out. It's okay. There's no judgment here. That's it.
All men.
All men. Always. Sorry? One question.
Good.
Can you answer that?
Wow.
What is good? What do you think is good?
It's true and beautiful.
Sorry?
True and beautiful.
Right. Functional and beautiful. Good. And you know what? How you know what's functional and beautiful?
It sustains life.
Good. I like it. But do you know how you will know
Something I want.
what you want? Because you are a life being and you want what sustains.
Wow.
Say that again.
Wow.
Loudspeaker.
Wow.
You know what is good, i.e., what is functional and beautiful, because that is what you want. Think about anything you want in this life. Anything you do not want something dysfunctional. At the same time, you want it to be beautiful, and that's the problem some people have. It's like, it's beautiful, but it's not functional. It's not functional. What you wish is both, right?
Yeah.
They are not divorced. All day, every day. Yes or no?
Yes.
Very good. So you see, truth is easy because anywhere you look, anywhere you turn is simple, it's the same.
Anyway, you want it to catch you.
It's like a repeating pattern. It's a repeating pattern. It's a repeating pattern that forms together to form the same pattern that each of the components is. Listen, man.
Yeah.
So if you zoom in, you see the same pattern. If you zoom out, you see the same pattern, the same pattern, the same pattern. They're all working together in the same way to form the same pattern at another level. If molecules of iron were true, there will be no rust.
Yes.
Sorry. To say that good is what you want, it's not always the case, right? Because
Right.
your eye is, evil
Okay.
It could be in, like a pig in the marsh, a plane in the marsh.
Yes.
And the pig thinks,
Yes.
like, you're
Yes.
like,
Yes.
that's good for the pig.
Yes. Yes. Very, very good point. Very good point. But I'm going to tell you something. The pig in the mud doesn't want all good things for all people all the time. The moment it wants that, it stops being a pig. It will know what is good. The moment you want, it's that eye that doesn't want something good will not want all good things. So truth has an internal regulator. It cannot fall down in that sense. It's like for the person to want this, even if the person wanted bad things for themselves before, suddenly they won't want bad things for themselves. So you don't need to worry about it. It will regulate. And in the process of pursuing all good things for all men, they will learn what is good. You will know what's good. Don't worry. Don't say the problem is I don't know what's good. That's the whole point. The point is you know. And if you don't know, wanting all good things for all men will make you know. So we are saying that there is a coherence of truth at all levels. At the level of your body, of your cells, of molecules. The reason we have, think about it, the reason we have storms is incoherence. A tornado is incoherence. It's simply incoherent. Molecules are incoherently interacting with one another. Simple. What people call sickle cell anemia is incoherence. Just incoherence. It's incoherence. Rust, incoherence. Decay. When something is decaying, it's incoherence. Fundamentally, just incoherence. Do you see? Now I'm saying that at molecule level, at atomic level, at those levels, the different levels, I'm saying the governing level is the level in man called thoughts. And Remember, it's not a metaphor. They're real. Thoughts are real. They're realer than the one you touch. They are realer. Without those thoughts, there's nothing out there. Do you see my point? There's nothing out there. Those thoughts. I'm saying, if we're able to see thoughts and we could scan them, when you think like this, what I just said, your thoughts will look beautiful. We will actually see a coherent edifice, like a city that is beautiful and works well. Your thoughts will work well with one another. Like those molecules, the problem is that the same way rust works, the same way cells are fighting one another and not behaving well, is the same way human thoughts are not working well. It's because they are not working well that the world is messed up. Because your thoughts are not working well, they produce things that are not working well. I'm saying, because you cannot see thoughts, right? You can't do a thought scan and say, look at your thoughts. I'm being very serious. If you saw your own thought scan, you would know. You wouldn't necessarily tell you that this is true, this is coherent. You would know that this is not beautiful. Some people don't even need thought scan, but you scan your mind, yourself, you know. You can experience the discomfort of incoherence in your own self. What we call disturbance, stress, the distempers of our soul, you lose your peace, all those things, incoherence on the inside. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm saying that instead of a diagram to show coherent thoughts, we can define coherent thoughts by a summary statement. The summary statement is all good things for all men. Okay, because of time, I'm going to questions, please. So, if this was a building, and you are not, this building doesn't obey the law of all goodness for all men all the time, does that building exist? So a person can be a liar. I mean, their lives, they can just be a liar. Meaning, everything they're doing is a lie. You can live a lie. That's what it means to live a lie. Not what you thought it meant. What it means to live a lie is to be fundamentally incoherent in your thinking.
This is the state of the world then.
Exactly.
That is why the world is the way it is. The funny thing is that it looks like stuff is working. It looks like some stuff is.
Yeah,
It looks like that's the building. That's the building. Does that remind you of the parable of Jesus?
It does.
Which parable does it remind you of?
The wise man built his house upon the rock. The foolish man built his house upon the sand. 2 houses. One house was no house.
One house, it's not a house.
The rain fell and
He
the
thinks
stones
he's
came.
built a house.
But yeah, you a house. In short, he was building nothing.
That is sand.
We're wasting his time.
Wow.
And that house is his life, right?
That's his life.
Yeah.
That's what spends all life doing. So life. Then stuff comes and happens. But there is a man, a woman that goes to the rock. Rock level. Rock level.
Rock integrity.
Coherent.
Yes.
Long lasting.
And so that the life is built, not just built on the rock, as in they build it and put it on the rock. It's built from the rock.
So that is the house.
It's continuous with the rock. So it derives its own integrity from the integrity of the rock. It's continuous with the rock. That's why when the stuff comes, you cannot move the rock, you can't move the house. So Jesus said, I came to be a witness of the truth. I Take the evidence of the truth. What did he do? Only
Good things
to
all
Did he
men.
ever ask anybody any question before doing good to them?
No.
Did he make it a conditional of anything?
No.
Don't you think there were rapists amongst the people he did good to?
He lived that way. Worse than rape.
This is crazy.
Always.
So it was like, hey, wherever there is space, he feels it. Paul witnessed the truth. Oh, not just what did he do, what did he say? Was there any condition he gave you not to do good?
No.
What did he say?
Say gifts to all that have.
So, all!
All.
And from any that.
All. All. Now, I've just started this, so next week we'll have to build on it. There are going to be questions. They're going to have a lot of practical. Please write your questions down. Note them. Like, how does this work? What is this? But first of all, before you just bask in that this is truth.
Yes.
You have to bask in that. Like, you can't top it. You can't make it better. You can't better it. It is universal and yet it's a nice age. You can't go, if you go this way in your office. So some people say good people should get good things and bad people should get bad things. If that's what you're buying, I'm saying that thing you bought is not it's not cool.
Wow.
Now I can debate why is it not behind we can talk about it. And then,
Well, I think there was this scripture where I think someone asked God about good servants or good master. He just was like, who is good or something like only God.
There's no one good but God.
There's no one good but God. And
please, does he have a sorry headset might help? Aren't they able to hear me? Sorry.
Clear now.
Okay, why is it clear?
It's not like that's really clear.
What's happening?
I've been using this headset since.
No.
It wasn't clear. Yeah, I'm just seeing a message now. I should have been told this.
your phone is closer.
That was not so that.
Wait. The problem was the.
Maybe it's because you raised the phone.
Yeah, your phone is closer.
So the sound is not going through the headphones. That's a
No,
meaning.
it is. I've been hearing.
was.
And
Was it clear?
to me here, it was clear and okay.
I
But
think
it's possible.
Well,
it
it
wasn't
was-
really
Yeah.
clear.
Why doesn't it get clear sometimes only when you reduce your voice?
Okay.
When you are speaking.
Yeah.
You're holding the phone.
But why is it clearer now?
Anyway, we'll figure it out.
What you said is much better now.
Okay, this is much better.
The sound was fluctuating, so that means it was going up.
Oh, okay.
Tame the phone.
So let me know
Can
if
you go
it's still
over
rock.
this
Let me say it's
It's wrong thing again.
rock. You have a question?
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Before you ask your question, let me go over that again. So I said, does this remind us of one of the parables of Jesus? And I said, yes. The parable of it says, he who hears my words and does them is like a man who building a house, dug to the rock and built his house on the rock. The one that didn't do is like a man who built a house on the sand. The winds came, floods came. One of those houses was not any because it never was. Right? So we said that the rock is truth. And building on the rock doesn't mean building your house. This is what a lot of religious people do. They build their house like everyone else. Meaning they live their lives according to the same. They don't buy this gold, and they just take it and they say, Jesus, where are you? Let me put this on your head. You support it to share. You help us to share. Does that sound familiar? That's idolatry.
Bless the works
support
of
it to share. Make the business grow. Share. Make the business grow. Share. And that's it. They want to put it on. But they didn't build it from Jesus. They didn't build it from Jesus. So to build on the rock is to build from the rock. So that the coherence of the building is continuous with the rock. So it only moves when the rock moves. And because the rock doesn't move. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a question. I was saying there was a scripture where Jesus said, no one is good but God.
Yes.
I don't know how that fits into what that would mean.
Yes. You know, we're not talking about good people now. At no point did I say a good person, bad person. So, how does that fit in? I will answer your question. I will answer your question, especially by God's grace. Next session we'll go further about what that means, why Jesus said it like that. Very, very good point. Please, I hope you'll be there and make sure you remind me to address it. But something I want to say is that, do you know there is no religion on earth, there is no prophet on earth, there is no philosophy on earth, there is nothing on earth that has given the world this bloody idea. That's what I just said. And this has given the world this idea. It has given the world this bloody idea. This is why it was important for me to lay the foundation. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Who was this bloody idea?
Jesus.
Jesus was this idea bloody. And it was actually bloody. Every which way. It was bloody till the blood came out. It was bloody. Till he gave his whole blood for it. It was bloody. Nobody even claims. The funny thing is that if there was another claimant
claims close.
that, oh, our guy was also like this, they're not even claiming. So it's not like there's another claimant. It says, I am the truth. Now you understand why Jesus is the truth. You understand why if you did not believe in Jesus, walking around, and you didn't believe in this man, you yourself, you're a wicked person.
Hey,
Yes or no?
No, you are.
No, but seriously though.
It's that idea.
Because
You judge yourself, you just said you don't want all good things for all men. So that means you don't want good
I don't
things.
want good things. So render to
which includes you.
And you didn't have to say, is this good? Nobody will say, is this good? This guy is mad. He's not saying.
See what's happening. You can see. You see
You
what's
need to
happening.
sit down and have a conference to define if this is good. And consider the merit and demerit of curing that sanity. That's why I said truth is.
Yes.
And the head of every religion has always admitted that this is truth. Even in the Quran, it's admitted. What is the head of
Quran is not admitted.
Well, okay, they said he's one, but you couldn't dispel the fact.
Oh, you mean they said, okay, Jesus.
Mentioning of Jesus.
Oh, they mentioned, okay, I don't know what they said about
Yes.
Jesus.
So, none of them ever dispel the fact that it is not truth. They actually do. They don't
They don't
necessarily-
accept it.
They don't
Yeah,
accept
they don't
it.
accept
But you will not
it.
come to
No,
that.
no,
deny
what-
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 I'm trying to
yeah.
explain what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that there
That's
is,
so-
they still
They can't
say-
just so they can't fight it. Yeah, they can't fight
the
it.
fact that it's not
Bring the profiles.
So they
Let
recognize.
me tell you, I will tell you something. I'll tell you something. Watch this. I told you that man is very susceptible to what? Deception. To illusion. Right. This thing. Okay.
Maybe
Just hold it.
You know what?
You have to put your phone here.
Just-
Okay, down, fuck it.
Don't hold it.
No, it's because my volume went down. Okay.
Let's be
Is it
naive.
better?
Yeah, it's better now.
Just hold it. And
I think you're Bluetooth.
yeah.
Maybe the Bluetooth is.
Perfect time.
my going in because my sister said she could
Oh, wow.
very much. Yeah, she could, but she had to move. But she said throughout when she was home, she could hear you.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay. So this is one of the biggest human delusions. Watch this. And it's because of internal incoherence. Internal incoherence causes people to claim to like what they don't like. I know that sounds ridiculous, right? But I'm telling you, that's how ridiculous we are as human beings. We say we like, not that we're lying, not that we start out to lie. We don't know any better. But you see, that's why I said, you can't tell someone what is good, separate to giving them the truth. Because even their minds can't capture it. Once you capture truth, you know what is good. So that's why people don't even know they're doing this. because their minds are incoherent. Their beings are incoherent. What is this? That is why people like their prophets dead. They love their prophets dead because they can claim to like them. We cannot tell whether you like it or not because it's dead. Do you understand? It's the bloody one that will know whether you like it. When it's bloody, when it's dripping blood, and comes to you, then we know you like it.
Yes.
You can claim to like an idea when it is not in its bloody form. This is why do you see my point? This is why bloody idea is important. When it's not in its bloody form, abstract, you can claim to like it. Anybody. When it takes a body and comes to you, then you know whether you like it or not. Do you see? So same with the children of Israel. They don't know the dead prophets. Moses. What did their father do when he saw them?
They tormented his life.
Tormented the guy. Almost out of his destiny. Yeah, almost. But everybody coming after. Moses. Like, Moses is that one.
So is that the same with Jesus? I think the Christians
many Christians, they don't like. I'm not saying they don't love Jesus. They don't like him. But they don't know they don't like him. And they can't deny what they're saying. They can't even say to themselves that no, look at what Jesus did, it's not nice. Think about how many people have been killed Jesus. Do you think those people that killed Jesus are more wicked than you? Do you think you are better than them? Don't you realize there's something going on before? I'll tell you something. When I was in nursery school, I remember we used to go, I've told you this before, we used to go and write on the board.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We used to go write on the board 1, 2, 3, ABC, something like that. I remember so clear. I remember I would sit down and I used to notice that the person will be writing, they will miss it. And they won't know they missed it. And we all will be shouting, no. And then they look so confused. It happened over and over. And it's like, what's wrong with these people? They need to learn the alphabet. They need to learn their numbers. Those of us that know our numbers and alphabet, we will show them. Okay? And they call me to do that. Of course. I'll be writing it in my notebook. Writing it. Very simple. You know, and I started writing. And at some point I hear shouting. I said, why are you shouting?
I'm writing it.
And I saw I missed something. And they don't know me. I said, there is something that happens when you go close to that door.
Yes.
I was in another school. I made that conclusion. There is something when you go closer to that door, something. Wisdom should tell us. You see people, human beings like you, shouting, kill Jesus. You doubt. And you are not very smart. So you are no different. Why? Check that you are not them. Check that they are not your relatives. Check that you don't belong to that lineage, that ideal lineage. Because they saw Jesus do good things and they said, thank you, Lord. They are the ones that saw it and they didn't thank you. Yeah. So how will the Quran talk about Jesus and say slaughter him? Kill the infidels. I'm being very blunt here.
Yes.
It's like you don't like. What are you saying? You are just trying to get some credit for your agenda. It's not different in many Christians. Quran, Muslims, Christians. Where people like Jesus appear on the scene, just like this guy is just like me, they won't like him. Just say, you can't say you like me.
It's too simple.
You can't say
Probably something that points out truth.
It's too
It's, I think it's more of you. I think it's more of the judgment. More I think about it. Because you see somebody who is perfect, and I think there's a human thing about always trying to aim for perfection. So I think there might be a bit in you. You're disappointed in yourself. So when you see something that is not good,
I don't think people saw Jesus and thought he was perfect.
I goes like them.
Otherwise they would have
Breaking
because that's why we don't kill our celebrities.
Okay.
our perfect celebrities are pin-up celebrities. Don't kill them because they are the ones that are perfect.
Ideas.
Idol.
When you say truth, a man of truth, you don't think it's that. You will find issues with it. There are issues with it, serious issues. Funny stuff he was saying, funny stuff he was doing. How would you say that? Yeah. Don't think Jesus was not so
Nice guy.
nice, perfect dude. This guy, you would have said Jesus. I know you are doing
Don't
good
say
stuff.
it like this.
Do some feedback and some feedback. But when you talk,
People's
I
skills.
think you were too aggressive.
you're too
Your people's skills.
People's
Yeah. Tony,
It's
this
because this idea, this truth, is coming hard against another idea that you didn't know you were holding. And if you don't like the idea of truth, you can't analyze it to the grains. You have to just, like I could not analyze why getting close to the board made it. I have to just appreciate that.
There's something going on here.
There's something going on.
Why you on the board?
The same thing with that sort of.
Okay, talk about it.
Same thing with that sort of.
You always criticize from outside.
You always criticize from outside. Once you enter sort of. Whose family members enter sort of? You see the person, you see this guy is so nice. This is true. Once they enter so
rock.
So, what does wisdom tell you? You invite it as rock to enter and meet them, which you don't
Run.
To not be going there.
But people don't think like this. They say, no, we are the ones that should be there. Those bad people, we are there. This, I told you, I started this by telling you the propensity of the human being to be deluded. Jesus is the truth. If you believe Jesus, you believe because we believe the truth. People believe Jesus because they were brought up to believe Jesus.
Yeah.
So to them it's a tribe. It's tribal. They don't know truth. You see, truth is not tribal. If you are walking down across Jerusalem, you would have believed in him. Funny looking guy saying funny
Weird stuff.
Who would believe in him? Why would you believe in him if you don't know, if you are not buying the truth? God does what works. So people say, believe in God, believe in God. Why? Why should we believe in God? Why? Because it's bigger than you and it's big, you don't believe in him. Most people, that's why they believe in God.
Yeah.
It's so big. If you don't believe him, you will trouble, you'll be angry.
Actually, feel.
It's like the hawk. It's nice to the hawk. Get green. No, this is
It's a fear of God.
Yes,
Rather than obeying God.
that contorted fear of God is not the fear of God. Rather than believing that, realizing that God does only what works. That is why if any man anywhere wants to find out what works, he will eventually find God. That's why Proverbs says, seek wisdom. You know how Proverbs is very knowledgeable. Go for wisdom. So you find God. Don't worry. Go for wisdom. You find it. If you are honest inside your heart, you find it. God just wants you to be wise. God is like, this is what works. Choose what works. If you don't choose what works, you won't walk. That's all. I'm not angry with you. I don't think so. I'm trying to help you. Choose what works. So as we progress in this, we have 2 more sessions. We're going to unpack. So now we're going to say what is truth. Now we see it's universal. It's exclusive. It's exclusive both in the idea, but it's exclusive in the bloodiness, in that only one person has brought the idea to light and shown how it works and that it's working. Because if we just said it, it would be like we're saying theory. But now we have a living, bloody
Example.
Living bloody.
Yes. Do you see?
Yes.
I say it's universal, it's exclusive,
It's coherent.
it's coherent, therefore sustaining life. call eternal life, what do you call that? Eternal life is not something that you said Jesus. You said Jesus. Take eternal life. You didn't say Jesus. You don't like Jesus. You don't like him. Don't take it.
That's the concept of belief.
They don't realize that there's a coherence inside you that
Yes.
it's real, it's authentic, it's organic. It's not something they are from the outside.
No.
It's something that
Comes from within you.
Any questions? I think time is well spent now, so shoot. Any questions? Okay. So since there are no questions, I think we're going to wrap it up here now. Please, questions as you reflect on this through the week. Please note your questions. Yeah.
Yes, when you mentioned just now, truth being exclusive
Yes.
in the idea.
And in the person. In the person in the person and his lineage. That person and whoever agrees on that person. Yes.
So, yeah, that was what I was trying
In the
to
person is that everybody else is just derivative of that person. Yes.
So following that
That
person
person.
makes you true.
I'm not going there. I'm just saying the person that people come to the world and some people bring and they say, this is the way I found it. That means this is the way I found it. In all those people that have said that, there's only one person that has given us this.
Okay, so maybe my question would be, that's exclusivity. Does it mean exclusion?
That's why he said it's universal. It's universal. It's universal. It's universal. Applies to all and it's for all. It cannot be. If truth is all good things for all men, all times, how can it be to the exclusion of some?
It can't be.
Cannot.
It fits.
You understand? How can it be for some and not others? Is that you are contradicting yourself?
Yeah.
So we are saying that if a fruit is sweet in the mouth of somebody, if it's true, it means it has to be sweet in the mouth of everybody.
No.
Okay.
Yes, if everybody that has that their tongue is healthy, that their tongue is true. Not a person who is sick with malaria.
Yes,
Who is
yes.
dying.
Honey is bitter to
Who is dying. Because he is dying. What is sweet is not sweet to him. But guess what? How do I make it sweet to him? I give him life as he's dying. And how do I give him life? By giving him that sweet fruit. So, by giving him that truth.
You will heal him.
I will heal him and
then
appreciate
you will taste correctly.
So it will correct.
Correct that taste. Hence to give him a new tongue.
Hence the I.
Yes.
Okay, so questions welcome, online, offline. Thank you very much. Same time next week, third or fourth. There will be recording ready. If you want recordings for first session, second session, they will be available. Thank you very much. Sorry? Yeah, first session is already on YouTube.
Yes.
Yes, first session is on YouTube, so you can go listen. Together at Jesus Feet YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Sir. Okay, guys, so posting the link to the recording from the first session. Yeah. I'll come back. I need you.
People are take it from here.
I don't write it out. I'll just use it.
Thank you. Okay. So,
Hi everybody.
Wow. That's so crowd.
So we're posting the link now.
So,
I said you're from my question, right? You observed, yeah.
yeah,
of course.
I'd like questions for you.
I don't know how
Because I don't have any planning sessions. So either we can organize, you can organize a session and have people that might be interested. I think it would be very beneficial. All the guys, the guys, the ladies, and I really go in on it. So that's one. But in the meantime, have the one that I'm not doing.
I'm sending directly.
We can have water, drink, some quick snack coming.
Shortly. It's quite it's scientific, but you get it. You get it.
I have a recording phone.
I'm very good. Thanks, I'm very good.
The last one we did. Yes.
Okay, let me see that. But it's not this is my recording thing.
Yeah, you have to explain. I feel like serious because I was thinking that if I was not in the room, the many things I would
So, for your benefits, don't look at the slides so that you come to it. This slide, just this, because when you are doing your session, you don't want to have.
Hey.
Did you remember this guy did it?
Always
No, I'm not
You said your sister was on.
Yes. Wait.
Is she Nigerian? Okay, but they've not heard the first session. Okay, they have lecture passport.
Well, I think send them the same time. So a lot of them don't work time, but they don't do.
So what they can do is they can just listen to that first one and then send once it's ready.
Okay.